Yay Networks.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil Amuti, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy! Happy Wednesday, Great Girlfriends. Happy Wednesday, near and far. Listen, I have quite a conversation coming up today. I got a little note about a doctor who I found so compelling. First of all, her book cover really blew my mind off top, but right, hold it up so they can see. This is how you vagina. This is how you vagina. But on top of having this book that really captured my attention and the data inside of it that really speaks to what every woman should need to know about our bodies and how we need to understand our bodies and advocate for our bodies, I love, see, and respect the work that she's doing globally. And I wanted to just bring her on today because I think we need to have these celebratory conversations. Yes, we have vaginas. We should be very proud of our vaginas, and we should be very aware of their capabilities and also the things that come along with that. And so I just love Dr. Williams, Dr. Nicole Williams, who has made this conversation approachable, right? Made it comfortable for us to have, and made it educational for us to be able to power ourselves forward as we go out to doctors and we learn how to ask questions and say the right things and understand things. So I want to give you this little bit of information about Dr. Williams, and then we're going to talk about some key components of this conversation I think are important around the vagina. Dr. Nicole Williams is a surgeon helping women in the U.S. and abroad through life-saving surgeries to eliminate fibroids first. Dr. Williams is an accomplished gynecologist, owner of the Gynecology Institute of Chicago, and author of bestselling This Is How You Vagina, a much-needed guide on the history, science, and attitudes of the most fascinating and misunderstood part of the female anatomy. Okay, Dr. Williams, the attitude, first of all, that one line alone, I was like, does my vagina have an attitude?
Sybil is funny.
And
well, it depends. Depends on the vagina owner.
I love that. I love that. But you're more than a doctor, Dr. Nicole Williams. Tell us exactly who you say you are as a woman. I always love to hear that from people.
Who am I as a woman? I am a philanthropist. I am one who cares for my community.
Yeah.
I am one who loves to give back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I try to do that both near and far.
Okay.
Because for me, someone who has been given so much great privilege, I've been able to go to medical school. I'm from East St. Louis, Illinois, which is a small town in Southern Illinois, all Black people. And I had the opportunity with scholarships and everything to be able to become a physician, that one who has been given great honors and great privilege, those people have to give back. And I'm one of those people. So if I weren't giving back, then that would be shame on me. Giving back is just part of who I am because of what I have been given in life. And that's super important to me. And that's kind of my modus operandi. That's how I live my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's fun for you? Just curious.
Travel is fun for me. So I get a chance to do that and give back at the same time. I was recently in Kenya, Sybil.
Oh.
And it was a beautiful experience to be in the motherland. This is my 5th trip to the continent.
Okay.
But when we were there, and this is a story that I actually talk about in This Is How You Vagina, there was a 14-year-old girl, victim of child marriage, because that is their culture. Although the Kenyan government is working on it, it's illegal. This patient had a 30-year-old husband who delivered her child. And when I looked, her clitoris, at least the part of the clitoris that is visible, had been removed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The nurses there usually also do episiotomy. They usually cut them. I explained to them that's not something we do. So she was able to deliver with her vagina intact. But the fact that that part of her clitoris had been removed was just devastating to me.
Mhm.
And so we were talking with the nurses, we're educating, and they're actively educating the community against this heinous act. And
Mhm.
knowing that, I had been a part of helping to educate those women to not do that to their baby daughters, because they named that baby daughter after me. Let's pray for
Mhm.
the baby Nicole's going to be all right in the future. We were
Yeah.
also teaching the nurses how to do ultrasounds on the babies, because there is some, malnutrition there. And so we can identify, I can teach the nurses, which I did, help them to identify those babies who might be in trouble, might need more monitoring, might need better nutrition.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. My
Thank you.
goodness. And I see your face lighting up as you talk about this because it matters to you that they have that knowledge and that you're able to help to transform lives that some you may never, like you said, I may never see baby Nicole.
I
However,
know.
that knowledge is available to those nurses
Mhm.
and that, oh my goodness, that community. That's magnificent. So, okay, this is how you vagina.
Yes.
How do we vagina, Dr. Williams? Like,
I wanted to use vagina as a verb, like I vagina, you vagina, we vagina, they
yes, like
vagina.
we Google, how do
Yeah.
we vagina?
How do
'Cause
you
I
vagina?
I feel like I know parts of my
Uh-huh.
vagina, but I'm still learning her. Like
Mhm.
I can be honest in saying, just when I think I know a little more about her, I'm like, wait a minute, girl, what's
That's
going on?
something new,
Yes.
right? Well, how you vagina for me is a savoir-faire,
Mhm,
a
mhm,
knowing who you are and having the confidence to know that your vagina 99% of the time is normal. We don't need to
mhm,
pluck it, we don't need to preen it, we don't need to douche it, we
mhm,
don't need to steam it.
mhm. Oh, interesting.
Oh, I know. There's a lot of people who want to charge you $80 to sit on a medieval toilet and put some herbs in a pot under your vagina and say that that's going to somehow make you more fertile. It's going to reduce your cramps. It's going
Yes.
to, magically do all of these things. Well, it's just herbs. It's like if you were to take a cup of tea and
Uh-huh.
put it right there and to allow the steam from the tea to touch the skin of your vagina. It's skin.
Yeah, yeah.
So what bothers me is that when you see these things on the internet,
Mhm.
it seems so compelling.
Yeah.
And it's easy for women who do not have that savoir faire, knowing that their vaginas are generally okay,
Mhm.
who fall to, I hate to say, and even if it's other Black women, it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
How about we know that our vaginas are all right? All she
Yeah.
needs is three things: soap, water, and sunshine.
Ah!
You
I
give
love
your
that.
vagina those three things, and she will take you long and far for the rest of your life. Now, not
Yeah,
saying that something might not ever be wrong, of
right.
course, but for the most part, that's how you vagina. Your
Mhm.
vagina is the seat of your power. And when you know that the seat of your power is powerful without stuff,
Yeah.
that's going to help your own innate self confidence and your vagina too, because you didn't pay $80 to do anything to it or take all the hair off or do all this other craziness people like to do.
Yeah. It's so interesting as you talk about that, I think about a couple things. One, I feel like the beauty industry knows no bounds, right? And so the beautification of the woman is a multi-billion dollar industry. And again, no, without knowing boundaries, the vagina became a subject of, of beauty. How can we monetize the insecurities around the vagina, right?
Exactly.
And
Because
how
women have a lot of insecurities about your vagina. Problem
absolutely.
with the vagina, it's not like, balls and penis where it's just kind of hanging out there. You can see everything and moves
Yeah.
around, it can shake.
Yeah.
For us, everything's tucked in.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
makes it more mysterious. And
Yeah.
because of that mystery, it's easy to fall prey. Now, what I would advise any woman, stick a mirror, have a look,
Mhm, mhm.
know what your vagina looks like at normal. You know that normal baseline. This is my vagina when it's normal. Then, if there is something that happens that is abnormal, you
Mhm,
bring it to the attention of your gynecologist.
mhm, mhm.
And, that kind of parlays into advocating for your own care.
Yeah. Mhm.
If you see something that you don't like, even if the first time you look like, hey, what's that on there?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a mole. We get moles, especially us with melanin. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay. Take it to somebody, make them have a look. Say, hey, what's that? I just want to know what that is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how we're going to get over the fact that everybody is trying to play on our insecurities.
Yeah. You know what, too, Dr. Williams, there is that I feel like we know our vagina as this sexual organ, like this
Yes.
space that where sexuality prevails, but you're talking about power, and
Yes.
and it's a different sort of construct around how we view our vagina, because I feel more
Exactly.
confident about my vagina when you tell me it has power than when you start to speak to sexual health and vagina. That's when women
Mm-hmm.
start to feel shame, feel guilt, feel inferior, feel afraid, or, or concerned about whether or not they are comparatively, in league with beautiful
Other
vaginas. Right?
vaginas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Whatever the concept of beauty that has been put
yeah.
forth, which is fluffy labia majora, teeny tiny
Yeah.
labia minora, and the orifice is only like about this big. And
Mhm.
oh, it looks just like this. And well, no, I consider it part of your sacred feminine.
Mhm. Mhm.
All of everything that is with your particular vagina is part of the sacred feminine.
Yeah.
I want you and your audience to Google the Great Wall of Vagina. It's in the book too. There is a plate
Okay.
of the Great Wall of Vagina. There was an artist in
Uh-huh.
England who took a bunch of plaster casts of various vaginas, twins, mother, daughter, all races, all ethnicities, trans people as well. And if you look at the different plates, they're all different,
Wow.
but they're all beautiful because it's functional. It's a functional organ. It is a beautiful organ. And
Yeah.
when you internalize that, there's
Mhm.
your power right then and there.
Mhm. Okay. So how we vagina, we understand our power, right?
Yes.
And we understand that it is that vessel, that space, that organ, it that we
Mhm.
possess that power, and that is something that we can govern through sunshine, soap,
Mhm.
and
Water.
water.
Soap,
Okay,
water, and sunshine.
let's talk sunshine, soap, and water, because some people are going, sunshine,
What?
what? Like,
Okay. Well, first of all, if you so choose to spend money on like a special vagina soap, make sure that it's, coming from a doctor, it's normal.
yeah.
Regular old soap is generally fine. Now, you don't want anything that's going to be overly drying or anything like that, because the skin is a little bit more sensitive because it's close to a mucous membrane. So, but soap, generally soap, like Dove,
Mhm.
you can buy a bar of Dove for like $1 and it'll last you for months.
Mhm. Mhm.
Water, not only use water, but drink
Yeah.
water. A
Mhm.
lot of my patients complain of discharge. Problem is, a lot of my patients are also very dehydrated. If
Mm.
you're dehydrated, the discharge is going to be very thick.
Mhm.
Kind of like if you're really, really thirsty, you're like trying to, and there's nothing there. Same
Yeah.
thing for your vagina. So you got to drink enough water. And sunshine, meaning we don't want to bind the vagina. She wants to be free.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting for leggings to go out of style for about 10 or 11, 12 years, and they still have not. So I
Yeah.
had to justify the fact that they're going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
So if you do, try to wear cotton underwear, something that's going to allow your vagina to breathe as
Mhm.
much as possible.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
when you're sitting, and I want you to see how I'm sitting,
Mhm.
I sit like this,
Okay.
man spread.
Ah, uh-huh.
That's going to allow a little bit more air circulation. That's what I mean when I'm talking about sunshine. And then when
Mhm.
you sleep at night, no underwear unless you're bleeding. You want a
Yeah.
little moonshine too.
Yeah, I love that. No, that is so good because, listen, the athleisure movement is real, Dr. Williams, and I know
It's
you
not
see us.
going anywhere. I
Once we
know.
figured out athleisure was an option, like we are in,
People
right?
are never going to let that go.
Ever.
No,
Like, that's all
never.
I needed was
I know.
to have some cute sweats. And so, yeah, but you're right. So we're not thinking about the consequence that it could create for our vaginal health.
Yeah.
And the need for air and light and just kind of a fresh space down there. I love how you said, man, I'm gonna have to take that forward. So, okay, tell me this, because most of the time our vaginal conversations come up when it's centered around our cycles, and we have questions around our cycle. And the other thing, we're talking in our girlfriend circles, so that's first. But when we're talking about cycles, be it aggressive cycle or a lack of a cycle, right? And those two panic moments. So we tend to only talk in these emergency scenarios, or when we see something abnormal, we smell something abnormal.
Yeah, exactly.
I literally got a DM from a woman a couple weeks ago. I don't know why she DM'd me, but she did. And I was like, okay, I'm a safe space. But in short, she was like, is anyone talking about how drinking coffee affects the smell of your urine? And I was like, actually, I can't say that I've had anyone talk about it, but I can acknowledge that
it does.
It does, right? And I had to tell her, like,
I
acknowledge that when I'm
smells like
coffee,
Uh-huh.
I'm like, whoa.
Smells like coffee. Especially if you're doing like an espresso. Yeah, remember, whatever you take in is going to come out somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that cup of coffee you have in the morning is going to come out in the afternoon.
Yes. And you're like, okay, wait, coffee urine? Yeah. So we tend to have these emergency conversations, Dr. Williams, and we're often in a panic. And then oftentimes we don't know what to do or how to ask it. So I want to talk about a few things that I think that come up in the 911s of how we vagina. One is the cycle and how it changes over time. Over 40, it can become like War of the Worlds, right? It's like, whoa, what is going on? There's hormonal changes, I guess, or we're all trying to figure out, is it premenopause? What about this vagina there? And then how do you have a peaceful cycle? How do you ensure that you're keeping your body in a place where it's not volatile, where, what I mean? Because there's lots of women who are down for days because their cycle is it's just lighting a fire.
Yeah, it's a miserable nightmare.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, periods should not be a miserable nightmare. And if your period is a miserable nightmare, that's when you need to go to your physician and say, hey, my period is a miserable nightmare. What the hell?
Yeah.
There should be a workup. So when I talk with my patients about irregular periods and anything that might be off kilter with periods or irregular, there's a structural cause, meaning a polyp, a fibroid, a thing. Maybe something going on with the cervix, or it's a hormonal cause, meaning, yes, it could be perimenopause if you're in your 40s. It could also be an hormonal imbalance like polycystic ovary syndrome. It could also be stress. Also, I want your listeners and viewers to understand that the only person who would have had perfect 28-day cycles with about 4 to 5 days of bleeding and no cramps was Jesus, if Jesus were a woman.
Right.
Nobody's cycles are perfect. We are perfectly imperfect women.
Yeah.
Cycles are going to be from 21 to 35 days. And I have patients are, well, my cycles have always been irregular and now they're off for 2 days. That's okay.
Okay.
Any little smaller variations are normal. Maybe one to 4 or 5 days difference. Look at what's going on in your life. If you're stressed, if you've moved, if you started a new job, if you've traveled, that can change your cycle by a few days, and that's okay. What we're thinking about for something that's abnormal, if your cramps are so bad that you have to take off work, talk to your physician. There is a litany of things that could be. So you need a full workup. They probably need to do an ultrasound, MRI, or some other imaging to look for that structural cause. If the periods are irregular, you may want to check hormones to see if there's polycystic ovaries, see if you're peri or premenopausal, to explain why things are that irregular. Okay. Now, if we're talking heavy periods, if you fill up a pad or your period underwear or your tampon in an hour and a half, something like that, we're talking all the way through, that is not normal. You could be anemic if you're wondering like, oh, damn, why am I so tired? Whew. When you have your period, if you're like that, whew, when you have your period, you might not need to have your blood checked, because what if you're anemic? And then if you're tired, your brain's not working. We're not productive. We're not moving and shaking if we're bleeding out.
That's facts. Facts. Okay, another question around cycle. I got two more questions. First one is this. So, and I'll just give my example, but lots of
Mhm.
women will attest to the fact that when they are around women that they're super close with, their cycles will sync up. My sister, wait, but no, Dr. Williams is real. Like my sister and I, if we come together, either my cycle comes early, hers comes early, or mine is right after hers. And over the holiday, my cycle was like within a 2.5 week period. When I got to her, I had another cycle. She and I had our cycles together, and it's been like that most of our life. Dr. Williams,
Okay.
this is not a myth. This is real. What happened?
Okay. Hold on.
You're like, no, no, no. But I'm like, no, it's
Wait,
true.
I'm just going to go with the studies.
Okay,
Now,
okay.
there's not going to ever be a way for me to directly refute that other than with study.
Okay.
So the one, they didn't do a whole lot, but here, look at this. It's called, look and see what it's called.
The sisterhood cycling theory. Okay, yeah. So what is that?
Well, the sisterhood cycling theory is exactly what you said. If I'm with my sister or my roommate or somebody else like that, our periods are going to link up.
Yeah.
However, they did a study and they looked at women in the same sorority house,
Uh-huh.
and it was like 146 women, and to see if their cycles did start to quote unquote sync up.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is, so they had to do a bunch of math and say, is this attributable to an actual phenomenon, or is it attributable to chance? So these are scientists. They have to go with what's called a null hypothesis, meaning they had a hypothesis that yes, people sync up, and the null hypothesis meaning, it's probably just due to chance. So when they looked at this, when they looked at larger numbers of women, now I don't know that this is the study I have. I don't know if it's just ones and twos.
Yeah.
But when they looked at a larger number of women in this dorm, in this sorority house, when they did all the math and they looked at the periods, because periods go from anywhere between 21 and 35 days.
Yeah.
And you could have a natural fluctuation in your cycle. So that could easily mean that this person's cycle just happened to have come early. That person's cycle could have just happened to have come late. We just don't have enough data to say, maybe it is you and your sister. But according to the study, it's probably just chance. Okay. I'm just saying. I know I won't be able to refute it. I know I won't, because you're like, I know my man. I just know that. I'm like,
because we've had to like, okay, if I'm traveling, I know that we're gonna meet up. I'm like, okay, my cycle's like, I know like there's and I literally had just had my cycle in LA, got to Memphis, and my cycle started up. And then when I went back home, I was there for 2 weeks. Came back to LA and had my next month's cycle on time.
How early was it?
It was like two, maybe a little under 2 weeks early. And
now, was it a full cycle, or was it like 3 days?
It was four hey girl surprise cycle days, and I was like, no, you're not supposed to be here. And I'm so regular. But now,
did you need a panty liner, or did you need like a full-on tampon?
I needed a nap. I needed a tampon. I needed a Coke. I needed like I needed my kit. I needed my whole. I'm just giving it to you, Dr. Williams. I needed
your period kit.
I had my whole kit. I needed my whole kit, and it's wild because it's been our whole life, and we live apart. We lived together for years in college, and then apart as adults. But when we're in the same city, her cycle hits as soon as she lands. and then my cycle will hit after she leaves, and it's all disrupted. It's been
So your cycle will come after she leaves?
It'll come after she leaves, if not within a week of her cycle. So like if she's here and her cycle ends, mine will either start or it'll start after she leaves.
And her cycle ends. So you're not cycling together. You're not having your periods.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, sometimes.
But the point is
sometimes they are, right?
And so, like other women will say, like they have found that similarity, that if they're around their sisters or someone that they are very close with, there's this like synchronization that happens.
So, okay, I'm going to let y'all believe that, but we just know that science tells us that the likelihood of that happening is relatively low. So there was a theory about having the women all have their period at the same time because people used to live in polygamous societies.
Yeah.
And in order to innately, this is one of the theories about why that might happen, even though we know that it really doesn't. But one of the theories was, if you're all living in the same place and you might only have one husband and there'll be like 4 or 5 women in a harem, that all the women would want to sync up their cycles. So then the man can, hate to say it, copulate with them and have more successful pregnancies.
Interesting.
That's a theory. Now, like I said, it's really hard for us to completely academically say, and this is why I have to say that right now, the data tells me that it's more likely than not, since you said sometimes the periods are simultaneous, and then sometimes it's a week early or a week late.
Yeah.
That could happen.
Okay. Tricky one. I know that one's gonna get us some feedback for sure. We're like, no, because when I'm with my cousin, boom, boom. Okay, so talk to me about this, because this is a thing too. To plan B or to not plan B?
Yes, plan B.
I want to talk about plan B, because plan A is obviously not to need plan B, but plan B is the alternative to plan C. And so many women will say, like, plan B has caused disruption in their hormones, period, or they've taken it and they found like their bodies don't respond well, or so what are your thoughts around that? As it's not a form of contraceptive. What is,
that's number one.
it's like, what do we call it? What do you call it?
Plan B is a massive amount of progesterone that's given in order to delay ovulation. And it also might delay the period a few days too. So yes, it is number one, not to be used as contraception. We have at least 17 different other ways for you not to become pregnant other than using plan B. No, plan B should not be used as, oh, I just had sex, let me take a plan B. And then the very next week, I just had sex, let me take another plan B. Absolutely. That can completely throw off your cycles. And you expect it to be maybe late up to, 1 or 2 weeks if you've taken plan B multiple times. So no, we do not recommend plan B. So if you've had to take a plan B sometime this year and you're not on any contraception, then what I would counsel those ladies is let's think about contraception. Let's think about some other way to effectively prevent pregnancy, so then we do not have things thrown off like that. Because an ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. So if you need the plan B, if you're like, I really can't stand him, I don't want to have his baby, then absolutely plan B. But know that, yes, it can wreak havoc on your cycle. Now, forever, probably not, because most of these things are metabolized and they're out of your system. But don't make it a serial occurrence. They have an app for that too.
Yeah.
The app actually works. So if you don't want to take an oral contraception, or you don't want an IUD or some other way, the app does work. You just have to stick to it. Because I know I have a lot of patients who don't want to be on an oral contraceptive, but I do want to bust the myth that the pill's going to make you gain weight and the pill's going to keep you from having a baby later on in life. If the pill had kept women from having babies, we wouldn't have 320 million Americans right now.
That's
because
facts.
Most women have been on the pill at some point in her life. The pill is out of your system every 24 hours. That's why you have to take it the very next day. Because if you skip 2 pills, whoops. You can find yourself needing a plan B, and we don't want to do that. Right? Okay. So keep in mind that birth control pills, for me, just thinking about how it helped women and how it liberated us and got us out of the home and into the workplace. It is probably the 3rd greatest invention after aspirin, penicillin.
Wow. That's a great
way. It liberated that many women.
Yeah. That is a great way of looking at that. I love that. Great girlfriends, I have a 14-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter. Shout out to Sam and Dylan. And I'm always looking for ways to protect their future, to create generational wealth, and to give them the most advantages that I can offer them as a mom. So one of my to-dos for 2023 is to optimize life insurance policies for my family, especially for Sam and Dylan. And if you're looking to get your financial future organized, or you don't have life insurance yet, that should be at the top of your list. Fabric by Gerber Life is the easy one-stop shop you need with life insurance and other family finance solutions all in one place. Who doesn't love a one-stop shop, all in place to get everything you need covered for your family financial solutions? So what I love about Fabric is that Fabric was designed by parents, for parents, to help you get a high-quality, surprisingly affordable term life insurance policy in less than 10 minutes. Again, in less than 10 minutes, you can apply, see your quote, and then personalize your quote to fit your family's needs. You could be offered coverage instantly with no health exam required. That's amazing, folks. And with over 1,600 five-star reviews on Trustpilot.com, you can feel confident that you're getting a high-quality policy that is perfect for your family. Again, life insurance is the way to help add options and create streams and give your kids the advantages you need. And I am so excited that Fabric is offering solutions just for me and for you. So protect your family today with Fabric by Gerber Life. Apply today in just 10 minutes at meetfabric.com/greatgirlfriends. That's meetfabric.com/greatgirlfriends. MEET fabric.com/greatgirlfriends. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company. Not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. Okay, I want to leap over to fibroids.
Yes.
I want to talk about it because I don't know. I don't know the data on how many women are affected, but I know that enough women I know have been personally affected. Enough women in the Great Girlfriend community are dealing with, fibroids and having to have surgery and are having heavy bleeding and are tormented by them. The return of fibroids, so reoccurring fibroids. And I just want to talk through that. What do we need to know? How do we take what we maybe feeling as the potential of fibroids and turn it into a really sound analysis from a medical expert that can help us journey through and get to the other side of it?
Right.
Is there another side of it? Can it end with a woman who has fibroids? I do want to know that. Like,
of course it can. Absolutely it can.
Okay.
So what I've found is that early intervention is going to really be your best bet when it comes to treating fibroids.
Yeah.
If you find that your periods are somehow heavier, or like I said, if you're tired, or if you start having a little bit heavier cramps, or you need more ibuprofen or the heating pad you need, then take that to your doctor. My mom had fibroids, my cousin had fibroids, my sister had fibroids, because it is generally genetic too. Yeah. If you are of West African descent, or you have West African ancestry, like most African Americans here in the United States do, then yes, you are more likely to have fibroids. 70% of women are going to have a fibroid by the time they're 50. So it's excessively common.
Yeah.
But for some reason, some of us start growing fibroids early and they get bigger, faster. And we don't know why that is, because it's this kind of person problem. So they're not going to put a whole lot of research dollars into determining what genetic makeup you would have that puts you at risk for fibroids. Like they've come up with the gene for breast cancer. They're not going to do that. So it is going to be incumbent upon us to say, hey, my period's heavy, doc. Let's get an ultrasound. Ultrasounds aren't that expensive. It'll tell you if you have a fibroid or not. Options. In terms of natural remedies, there's a couple of them that I can say that I have used. One is magnesium, and that helps for cramping, not for the fibroid. Omega-3s can also help. If you look at something like a blackstrap molasses, that's primarily for anemia. So it's none of these things are actually shrinking the fibroids. So if you're on the internet and you find something that says, oh, we're going to guarantee to shrink your fibroids if you only eat vinegar and oranges every day for 2 months, know that that person probably just took your money. And I want you to seek the advice of a doctor. And if you don't like what that doctor tells you, guess what? There's another doctor.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I love how you said that. They probably took your money. And
don't want people to get cheated.
Yeah,
Because
but
I
that's
know
happening.
that we just have to get this done, and we need to do it in the right way, as
Yeah.
opposed to waiting for years. I've had patients waiting for years, and all fibroids generally do until you get to menopause is grow.
Mm. And how do you know that how do you know when it's time to have a surgical removal of fibroids?
Mhm. When I talk to my patients, I tell them this: if your fibroid is bothering you enough that it's affecting your daily life, then we need to do something. We have minimally invasive procedures now. We have the Sonata procedure, which goes in through the vagina, actually puts the ultrasound into the cavity, and they take a needle and it gets the fibroid from the inside, no holes up here.
Mm.
We have laparoscopic surgery that can shrink the fibroid, but it's most effective when the fibroids are smaller.
Mhm, mhm.
So what I'll see a patient and her fibroid may be about this, and I go, yeah, we can do minimally invasive procedure. These are the things we can do. That I don't see her for 2 years, and then she comes back and it's like this.
Oh my goodness.
And
Yeah.
then we will have to, I just came out the OR. That's why I'm wearing these clothes right now, because I forgot I had to do this and I didn't bring another shirt.
It's okay.
So
She's
we
legit,
just had to
guys.
do
She's
that.
legit. Yeah.
The fibroids we took out, the biggest one was this
Wow.
big. And I
Wow.
saw her 2 years ago, it was this.
Oh my
So
goodness.
when you do discover a fibroid, what I would advise is not that you need to do something right away, because I understand you kind of got to okay, do I really need surgery? Is it really necessary? Get another ultrasound in 6 months. Get another ultrasound in a year. Track the trajectory. If your fibroid trajectory is going like this,
Mhm.
then it may not be that bad. But if it starts going like this, if it goes from 2 to 5, that's too quick. And that tells me it's probably going to keep getting bigger.
Okay. Wow. Wow. So, yeah, I listen, I've not had experience with fibroids, but I'm the friend to
You're the
many.
friend.
I'm the friend, and when they do talk the numbers, I know I'm like, okay, that's big. Okay, noted. So now I'm understanding. You're putting some context to some of the conversations that I've been a part of.
Good.
And so, Dr. Williams, when we are in the doctor and we have a doctor trivialize our experience, which happens, at high frequency, to say, this is, we'll come back in another year, or
Or,
this.
oh, just have a hysterectomy. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
Like,
geez, yeah,
well, what if I don't want to have a hysterectomy?
yeah, yeah.
Guess
What
what?
are
You
the
tell
signs?
that doctor, thank you.
Yeah, like how can a patient know
Mhm.
that their experience is being trivialized? Because most people are going once a year, if
Mhm.
then, and they are probably not in like great relationship with the doctor if they're not in a space where they're there regularly. So they probably feel like the doctor is the one who qualifies to take a look and analyze and assess. And we don't
Mhm.
want patients oftentimes overstep, but we do have questions. How do we know if a doctor is not putting his or her best foot forward in supporting our medical care? Are there like
Easy.
uh-huh.
If you feel like when the visit is over, you still have questions,
Okay. Okay.
then yeah, either call that doctor back. Hey, I still have questions. Email or do a chat or whatever it is. There's usually some other way
Yeah.
to reach out to that doc. I still have questions, and see what the response is. Like, oh, maybe we can do a telehealth, get all your questions answered. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you still had questions. Let's address them.
Okay.
If that doctor is willing to address your questions or concerns after they've already left and you reach back out to them, then maybe give them a shot. But if they're like, oh, well, I told you, the best thing is for you to do is just have a hysterectomy, sheesh.
Mm.
Eh,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's too many other doctors in the United States of America for you to feel as if this person isn't taking your concerns seriously.
Mhm. Mhm.
And even if your concern does happen to be medically not as dire
Mhm.
as what you think, that doctor should be able to explain to you why that concern is not dire
Mm.
to your understanding.
Mhm.
Doctors should be teachers, and we
Mhm.
need to teach our patients when something is awry and more importantly, when something is not awry.
Mhm. Mhm. So good, great girlfriends. I hope you're listening to this and you're feeling like that. Whew, now I know. And so many people, Dr. Williams, are going to be making some phone calls because they now know that those questions are worthy of an answer.
Absolutely.
Right. And sometimes, we trust experts and all of us, we're still building relationship. And sometimes you have to walk away from a doctor. I mean, I've
Mhm.
had to walk away and I've had to reverse bills because I'm like, that doctor didn't even know my name. We're not going to pretend
Wow.
that that type of care is
Mhm.
happening out here, Dr. Williams. It's rough in these medical streets. I'm just telling you.
I understand. I understand. And I'll tell you why it's rough. Even it's getting a little bit rougher for us because of the insurance companies. Come January 1st, check out your insurance policy. Because guess what? You might be paying the same premium,
Okay.
but your coverage may have actually gone down.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay.
Check it. I've
Yeah.
had patients who we were going to do surgery on last year. We just couldn't get to it. She got busy and it was a holiday. Sorry, I just got my braids done. These things keep falling on
They
my
look
face.
great, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I did it myself, and I know I need to put some more hair up here, so I just ordered me some more just now. Anyway, long story short, look at your policy and see, because I had a patient who was supposed to do surgery with me then, and turned around, the hospital doesn't even take her insurance anymore.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it was the same policy. She didn't change policies, but the
Wow.
coverage is now different.
Yeah.
Everybody, because this just happened January 1st, go look at your stuff. Understand what your insurance is too. A lot of people think, oh, I'm covered here. It should be covered. What is coverage? Not a lot. You pay
Yeah.
your premium. You usually get annual pap smear, mammogram, or colonoscopy if indicated. Get your cholesterol check, your blood count check.
Yes.
Basic health needs. Most other things outside of that might go toward your deductible. And what your deductible is the amount of money you have to pay before your insurance actually pays. How much sense does that make?
Yeah. It's
So you
insane.
pay your premium of however much it is, plus all this extra money until your insurance kicks in. And guess what? It might only kick in at 60-40, 80-20. So that's what I mean. Look at your policies.
Mm. Okay, so this is how you vagina. This I feel is a
Here
thorough,
it is. Look, still got the book.
it's a thorough vaginal experience. You learn, you advocate, you have to ask questions. We have to ask questions. I do think that social media has probably made your job 10 times more complex in terms of
A little bit.
you know, disrupting, all these new myths that are spreading so rampantly about things that we should, could, would do, coming one friend to another. And I just love
Mhm.
that your expertise, really spans all the range of that. That book for me feels like a Bible on vaginal health, and like a really great reference book that we can just kind of have, at bay. Like, we need to have something like that in our pockets.
I really think so. And I try to make it such that it's understandable. And I
Yeah.
also threw in some really interesting historical factoids. So, my favorite factoid, I'm sorry, I got to tell you this one. Not one of my favorites. This is the one that kind of springs to mind because a lot of people take all the hair off. In certain cultures, having hair on there is actually seen as beautiful. So, there's certain cultures in Korea where people are naturally hairless. They
Ah.
actually add hair and it's called a merkin. It's like a toupee for the mons pubis. People actually put hair on where we're always taking hair
You're like
off. There are
waxing it
people who
off.
put hair on. Yes, it is absolutely true.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So yeah. There's vagina
Interesting.
myths all over the place, and we do all these things to our vaginas. I want us to understand that this is part of who we are. It is part of our power.
Yeah.
We should respect it, and we don't need to overtreat it.
Yeah. Oh, that gentleness is important, right? Like, don't beat her
Mhm.
down. Love her, embrace her.
Yes. Oh, don't wax it. Ouch. I see
Yeah.
people when they come for a wax. This stuff is like, it looks like it just got
Yeah.
terrorized.
Yeah. Like that inflammation, a puff. Is like,
Oh, and
yeah,
that lasts for days. I got waxed exactly these many times in my life. I was like, why am I coming back for this torture?
it is torture. It is. It is. Then you head to the group text. You're like, is this happening to you? Is it painful for you?
Yeah,
Did you? Yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, don't. No, there's enough suffering in this world, so I just choose to not make my vagina suffer like that.
I
Let the
love
bush
it.
be free.
I love that so much. Oh my goodness. Okay, Dr. Williams, I know I can't hold you. Where can we find the book? This is how you
So
vagina.
you can find the book on Amazon, actually, but there
Okay.
is a website. If you go to thisishowyouVagina.com, you can click on that. It'll take you to where you can purchase the book, or even better, go to your local bookstore.
Yeah.
Ask them, hey, order the book, because you will have supported a local business.
Yes.
And you would have turned that bookstore on to the book, that people that they might want to carry it. And then we can pass the knowledge forward.
That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it. And where can they keep up with you on social media?
I am on Instagram at Dr. Nicole, Nicole, life. And that's my personal one. And I do post some pictures of fibroids there. And then there's also other clinical information at Gynecology Institute on Instagram.
Perfect. Perfect.
Oh, I forgot I have a TikTok channel too, but.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I do. It's the same thing. It's Dr. Nicole Life.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Nicole Life. Okay. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Dr. Williams, for being with us today. I know you stepped out of surgery to have this time and to give us this information. The book is exciting. Your knowledge I could go on and on. I mean, there's so many questions, obviously. And I think that's the important part of this is this is how you vagina. To vagina means to just empower and really take control of that, take control of the knowledge base that supports you being a lover of your vagina and not,
Right.
and not feeling like you have to torture her for her to be beautiful and strong and capable. Yeah. So I love that so much. And I love the verb form that you're bringing to life. I hope that it is viralized in the best ways.
Well, thank you.
Yes, I appreciate you for being with us today. Great girlfriends, do grab the book, do follow her on Instagram, and do advocate aggressively in your sister circles, your great girlfriend circles, to learn and know more about how you actually vagina. Thank you, Dr. Williams.
Absolutely, Sybil.
All right, great girlfriends, did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends, follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends, and on Twitter at @the_great GFS. I'm Sybil Amuti, and I'm out. Peace.